So, once our background investigation of the science behind fracking was finished, it was time to put students into groups, um, assign affirmative or negative stances, and get ourselves organized. So, I created this spreadsheet on Gaffe to use with the other two teachers, and here are our Mount View teams. Um, the colors indicate the periods, and then they're grouped um, based on the stance, and then they're matched up with Bonnie Branch teams um, on the bottom of the page. And then I basically created 30 websites, frameworks, named them each differently based on an animal, so the students would have an identification, and shared each website specifically with the students that were involved, so this whole group, and the teachers so they could view and edit. And the research began after that. Going back to the fracking website, we end up going to the materials page here where students could start compiling the research that they collected. And so these sheets were meant to give students a place to go to work either synchronously at home in school or asynchronously at home, um, and make it easier for them to work on this in and out of school. Fracking source analysis sheet so they can analyze the sources they're using, because we gave them quite a few different types of sources to look at. Um, there are graphic organizers for the actual debate videos, the opening, listing their arguments and their thesis and reasoning behind each one. Like a real debate, we wanted them to be prepared for whatever came next, because once they listened to the opponent's opening statement, they had to compile a rebuttal, record the rebuttal, and mount that video all on the same day. So here's the rebuttal graphic organizer, and then finally a closing state graphic organizer. There are rubrics on this page as well, so they know exactly how they'd be scored for each of the videos: opening speech, rebuttal, and closing speech. And so let's get to one of the sites. This is the zebra group. I just picked it at random, and this is what the frame looked like. They had statements here explaining where and how they should mount their videos. The Bonnie Branch kids listed their thesis and then the arguments behind it all in one video, where the Mount View kids had a separate short video for their thesis, and then their 1, 2, 3 argument videos behind theirs. Let's listen to one of them for a little bit here.
Hydraulic fracturing, which is commonly known as fracking, is a technique that helps to unlock vast quantities of underground gas by creating cracks or fractures in the ground. This is a technique that the United States should use and start allowing. Picture a country with more jobs, saving money on energy, and helping out the environment. With the economy and global warming present, hydraulic fracturing is exactly what the country needs.
Our first argument has to do with being fractured. We all know that it's currently not the best it could be. Lots of people have already lost their jobs or are in danger of losing their own, but many could get another job soon with fracking. In the article, Keeping Fracking Safe and Sensible, Michael R. Bloomberg and George C. Lynch wrote, a major boom in domestic oil and gas.
So you get the idea, and certainly some groups did better than others with sound quality, depending on where they could find a space to film. That group obviously was using an independent camera. The students in Mount View, for their opening thesis, looks like they're using the computer lab. Let's listen in on one of these real quick.
The U.S. should not allow hydraulic fracturing because it causes water contamination. Many chemicals are used in the process of fracking, which can leach out from the system and contaminate the water. In the process of creating the fracking chemicals, there are up to 600 chemicals used.
And so after this initial opening statement and arguments are mounted, which were both done the same day in both schools, from there, the next day, Bonnie Branch gave their rebuttals to Mount View's opening statements. Mount View gave their rebuttals and arguments to Bonnie Branch. And in the end, they all write conclusions based on the rebuttals from the opponents. Having them mount another video, we felt would have extended this too long. And so we wanted individual students to be accountable for um, gleaning what they could from the information given by the opposing team and being able to analyze that against what they found in their research and write a solid conclusion. So we had each of the students in the group from Mount View mount theirs in the actual website, so it would be there for um, everyone to see and for the teachers to be able to grade. Mr. Nobis went a couple steps further with his conclusion assignment. They also had to summarize key points for the side, um, effectively discredit the other side, and acknowledge the other side's claims and providing counter information, but also reflect on their understanding of hydraulic fracking in general and the question at hand, how they conducted their research, and how their topic relates to the theme of environmental concerns in the United States and Canada today, which is more of a social studies objective. They were also asked to examine the importance of the topic given the context of the situation in real time and what's happening today in response to fracking controversies, and then also a chance to privately offer any feedback on the group that might be necessary. Back on the debate page, once the students had a basic understanding of the science behind fracking, were put into their groups and assigned a position. They used this debate homepage as a springboard for their research. And so here we find a general glossary of terms, and we start to see some links to areas where they can actually find some opinion pieces. They can strengthen their understanding of the process of fracking if they still need that, and they can look at viewpoints. We tried to include multiple types of sources for these. We also allowed them to do some guided searching on their own. And as we went along, we compiled affirmative and negative resources to help them develop their debate stances. And that's it. This project was presented to the social studies department on the county level. We think that a few different schools are going to try this year. We're hoping to be able to advise them in the process of putting it together. It seems like it was a success. We look forward to trying it with some different topics. As we go along, we're going to try to make this a framework for future virtual debates. So, thanks for listening.